Before I begin today's video, I'm going to need you guys to go and hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? You already know who it is. It's your boy, Mucho, and we are back with another reading from the Holy Scripture. That's right. We are getting our blessings in today. It is day 28. And today we are covering Exodus 19 to 25. 19 to 25. Alright. It's a big reading today. So, let's begin. The Israeli covenant with God. It has become 635 years since God promised Abraham that he would bring that no excuse me. It has been some 635 years since God promised Abraham that he would make a great nation of Abraham's descendants and bless the nation as his chosen people. Abraham's part in the covenant was minimal, as God simply asked for Abraham's belief and trust in that promise. Now, however, in the time to fulfill God's promise, he has come, and God approaches the Israelis to covenant with them as his special people. Naturally, the Israelis are enthusiastic and excited, yet it soon becomes clear that they have not anticipated the full impact of their part of the covenant. In agreeing to a covenant, the people will be pledging their faith and alliance to an invisible king, their very creator, and promising to obey the many stringent laws which are part of the covenant. The solemnity of this historical, unprecedented occasion begins with God's proposal to the covenant and the need for all the people to purify themselves in anticipation of their formal acceptance. Arrival to Sinai. On the first day of the third month after the Israelis left Egypt, on that very day, they came to the desert of Sinai. After they set out from the Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai. I'm sorry if I keep messing up these words. I don't know them, and I'm trying my best. Trust me. And Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. God proposes covenant. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the descendants of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. You yourself have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now you are to obey me fully and keep my covenant. Then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom, a priest, and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelis." The Israelis agreed to covenant. Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people and set before them all the words of the Lord and had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has said." So Moses brought their answers back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "I am going to come to you in a dense cloud so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you." Then Moses told the Lord what the people had said. Consideration of the people. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and considerate them today and tomorrow, right? Have them wash their clothes and be ready by the third day, because on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Put limits for the people around the mountain for them. Be careful that you do not approach the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain is to be put to death. They are to be stoned or shot with arrows. Not a hand is to be laid on them. No person or animal shall be permitted to live. Only the ram's horn sound, a long blast, may approach the mountain. After Moses had gone down the mountain to the people, he consecrated them, and they washed their clothes. Then he said to the people, "Prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations. Abstain from sexual relations." Moses meets God on the mountain. On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Then Moses led the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord descended it. The Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke blew up from it like smoke from a furnace. The whole mountain trembled violently as the sound of the trumpet, I can't speak, grew louder and louder. Moses spoke, and the voice of the God answered him. The Lord descends to the top of the Mount. The Lord descends to the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him, "Go down and warn the people so that they do not force their way through the Lord, and may of them perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord may consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them." Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up Mount Sinai because you yourself warned us. Put limits around the mountain and set it apart as holy." The Lord replied, "Go down and bring up Aaron with you. But the priests and the people must not force their way through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them." So Moses went down to the people and told them. The 10 Commandments were given, and God spoke all these words. "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold any guiltless who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do your work, and on the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. And on it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your sons or daughters, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the seventh day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land of the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, or his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. What? I don't know what covet means, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. People afraid of God. When the people saw the thunder and lightning and heard the trumpet and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Moses, "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen. But do not have God speak to us, or we will die." Moses said to the people, "Don't be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of God will be with you and keep you from sinning." Instructions for altar. People remained at a distance while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites this: You have seen for yourselves that I have spoken to you from heaven. Do not make any gods to be alongside me. Do not make for yourselves gods for silver or gods of gold. Make an altar of earth for me, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, your sheep and goats and your cattle. Wherever I cause my name to be honored, I will come to you and bless you. For you make an altar of stones for me. Do not build it with dressed stones, for you will defy it if you use a tool on it. Do not go to my altar on steps, or your private parts may be exposed." I don't get that part. At this point, the Exodus record lists the first of many laws which God will set forth for his people to follow. The nation of Israel is to be theocracy. The nation of Israel is to be theocracy under the direct rule of God himself, whereas the other nations around them are governed by customs, rules, and laws of the king or human authority figures. The Israelis will be governed by the divine laws which they must observe in keeping with the very covenant which they are now making with God. The laws spoken to Moses on this occasion amplify the first 10 commandments, from which the construction framework for all the other laws from which follow. On this occasion, God gives Moses a wide variety of laws, ranging from proper altar worship to the proper treatment of slaves, from laws relating to crimes against persons and property to other offenses punishable by death, such as sorcery, bestiality, and idolatry. In addition, various duties are imposed relative to strangers, creators, the firstborn, and other matters. Numerous ethical instructions are also promulgated to encourage honesty, justice, and mutual assistance in emergencies. Finally, several laws are given regarding Sabbath rest and the 3 yearly festivals which are instituted. The festival of unleavened bread, the festival of harvest, and the festival of ingathering, so as to avoid the repetition found in the records of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. All the laws will be presented later in a single collection organized by subject. Now, however, attention turns back to God's final instructions and promises, which He makes as part of the covenant with the people of Israel. Angel sent for guidance. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. If you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies and will oppose those who oppose you. Promises and blessings. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will wipe them out. Do not bow down before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must devour them and break their sacred stones into pieces. Sacred stones into pieces. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessings will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness from among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land. I will give you a full lifespan. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make your enemies turn their backs and run. I will send the hornet ahead of you to drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way. But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little I will drive them out before you, until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. I will give into your hands the people who live in the land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them or with their gods. Do not let them live in your lands, or they will cause you sin against me, because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. Elders summoned to worship. Then the Lord said to Moses, come up to the land, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance, but Moses alone is to approach the Lord. The others must not come near, and the people may not come up with him. Israelis accept covenant. When Moses went and told the people all the Lord's words and laws, they responded with one voice, everything the Lord has said, we will do. Moses then wrote down everything the Lord had said. He got up early next morning, built an altar at the foot of the mountain, set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Israelis promised obedience. Then he sent young Israeli men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to the Lord. Moses took half the blood and put it in bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They responded, "We will do everything the Lord has said. We will obey." Moses then took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words. I'll receive God's glory." Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. But God did not raise his hand against these leaders of the Israelis. They saw God, and they ate and drank. Moses called to mountain. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here. I will give to you the tablets of stone with the law and commandments I've written for you, their instructions." Then Moses set out with Joshua, his aide. And Moses went up on the mountain of God. He said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in this dispute can go to them. 40 days on mountain." Then Moses went up on the mountain. The cloud covered it, and the glory of God settled on the Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelis the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud, and he went up on top of the mountain. He stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was today's reading. Let's do a quick reflection. Finally, we have reached the 10 Commandments. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a few things in today's reading that I kind of didn't understand. And how am I gonna explain it if I don't understand it? So yeah, I honestly don't know what to say right now. I'm kind of stuck. I just know that right now they got the 10 Commandments. Finally, God presented the 10 Commandments. I finally got to read about the 10 Commandments myself. That's what I've been waiting for, and it's running. But yeah, so I finally just read the 10 Commandments, and this is the rules that God said. Like, if you want to be a part of my covenant, these are the rules you should follow. So the Israelis at the time, this is what they agreed to. So God is on top of a mountain, and they're saying, like, when God's presenting himself, it's like as like a cloud. He's like a fire on top of the mountain, and like smoke just covers that entire mountain. So imagine seeing like something like that. That'd be, just know if you did see something like that, that's God, nigga. That's God presenting himself. So yeah. Overall, I'm gonna have to do some reflecting on myself, with this reading, because, like I said, there's some things I don't understand. So how can I explain it? But yeah, it was a good read. I did like today's reading. It was fun to read about the 10 Commandments. Finally, of all things, I finally got to read about the 10 Commandments myself. So yeah, so let's see what else tomorrow brings us. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's reading, because I did, and I'm done. So you already know who it is. It's your boy, Mocho, and it's time for me to what? Skedaddle on out of here. Peace.